everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually all lit up, literally, because just before we go live, I thought I would play around with my lights. So 10 seconds ago, I was sitting in the dark. Just love it when you want to play around with something, when you just, yeah. So I'm really happy to be here tonight. And I'm so excited for our guest and for our audience. I feel like we haven't been on. I know it's only a couple of weeks, but I just sort of missed you. A lot's been happening. So maybe we could talk to our audience tonight. And I'll introduce myself first in case we have first time people watching us after all these years. Welcome if you're joining us for the first time. My name is Catherine Asaro Myers, and I like to walk into the room and say Rara. And then I like to say Rara's in the house. That's my branded name. There's a big story to that. And it is the name that I am so connected to and passionately from my center. So I do want to introduce you to me, and I'm speaking to you from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. 8 months ago, I was sitting in Toronto. Now we're here in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and it's awesome. And I'm here with my amazing guest, Lori.
Hey, yes, and I am Lori Del Fredecki. I am actually about an hour and a half south of Nashville and fixing to go back to Columbia, which will be an hour south of Nashville because we moved out and totally renovated a brand new home. And 8 months later, we're moving back and going to renovate that one.
No grass grows under your toes. Well, Lori, speaking about grass growing under your toes, a lot has happened. Here we are, 2021. Who would have thunk that we would have been doing this? Like, we knew when we met that we were destined to do something amazing together. And I would love for you, if you're up to telling the story about, like, why are we here? What is the Gratitude Girls show about? You know, people say, what is that Gratitude Girls show about? What do you do? And I think it's always important to tell the story about how we met, because what we do is really based upon like why we do this. So would you be kind enough to share that with our audience?
Yes, absolutely. So Catherine and I actually met back in June of 2013 on stage in front of thousands of people. So Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards, now greener still. And we, each year at our company convention, they have a theme for the year. And then at the convention, they have one person that is given that award, chosen by their peers, so by the distributors and customers all throughout the company. And so 2013, the theme was gratitude. And so our CEO got up on stage and he starts giving out all it's kind of like a secret, right? So he starts giving out the accolades of who he's going to say without saying who it is and without giving too much detail, but he'll start giving little clues. And so everybody in the audience is always trying to figure out, because it's one of the few things that nobody knows, that like if you achieved a certain level, you know you're going to get recognized for something. But this is something that is given out and nobody knows. So I'm in the back. I'm one of those techie geek type people. So I'm taking pictures. I've got my video going and ready. And he announces Catherine's name. And so I'm taking all kinds of pictures and things. And then all of a sudden he says that we are doing something that we've never done before. And all the years before is they're announcing a second person that of the next person, and then all of a sudden he calls my name and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I dropped all my stuff, ran up on stage. So Catherine and I actually are cross-lined to each other in this company. So if you know anything about direct sales or network marketing, that's how it is. We're cross-lined to each other. But we also both believe that nothing ever happens by coincidence. There's always a reason for everything. And it was kind of like, you know how like people when they date, they say like love at first sight. Well, this was kind of like business partners, best friends, you know, confidants, everything all at once at love at first sight, like that. And we knew that there was some reason for that that was higher than both of us. And literally within like 2 minutes, Gratitude Girls was born.
Unmute, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. I remember that day. I remember, of course, I'll never forget it. And I remember when I was up on stage, my knees were like barely holding me up because it was in my I am statement. I was so passionate and I had envisioned myself having something like that happen. I just didn't know it would be that day. When I heard your name, I remember thinking, I'm going to get to meet Lori Delk. Now, what our audience may not know tonight is that Lori was recognized for giving the most gifts in our company. Now, imagine being the person that gives the most gifts. Just think about what that means. And I remember saying to myself, I wish I could meet Lori. So when I saw her name, years before, I thought, I wonder if I could meet her. I'd really like to meet her. And then when I heard Lori's name called, I thought, I'm going to meet her on stage right here. As soon as I saw her, I knew there was something. I knew that we were going to do something. It was this instant feeling. And then we stepped off the stage and we held each other's hand walking down the step. And that was it. We have literally been holding each other's hand since that moment and creating and developing and producing and editing and co-producing and writing, doing everything that you do in a show. So we first started saying, we're going to share gratitude stories and we're going to create a sacred place, a platform where people can do the same thing. In doing that, we have the opportunity to meet wonderful people as we have here tonight. I would like to take a few minutes to read to you some amazing accolades of our guest, Dr. Mary Grogan. I'll share something officially written, and then I'll share some best kept secrets. Mary is an author, an educator, a consultant, a coach, and a counselor. As a passionate educator, Mary Grogan has spent a lifetime inspiring and supporting students, teachers, families, and a variety of professionals to realize their potential and dreams. Committed to value of social justice and a humanistic leadership style, Mary has led inclusive, collaborative, and innovative learning communities. Mary has delivered professional development initiatives at local, national, and international conferences. As a curious leader, Mary juggled a career with raising 2 children while completing a sociology degree, an M.Ed in applied psychology, and certificates in family therapy, meditation, cognitive coaching. While working as a principal and a part-time behavior instructor on a medical school campus in Dominica, Mary completed a doctorate, an Ed, in educational leadership for teaching and learning. So not one, but 2, a sociology degree and a doctorate. Mary just doesn't stop. Mary wrote this amazing book, The 7 C's of Global Leadership, an inward journey tapping into your potential to help others recognize, embrace, and develop their leadership capacity, to make a difference, and to create a world of justice, peace, and love. Mary currently lives in the vibrant city of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, within walking distance of a lake and a yoga studio. Mary is so passionate about yoga. We always talk about that. Mary enjoys theater, dancing, music, and a good book, volunteering in the community, socializing with friends, and most certainly laughter, conversation, and activities with her husband, her children, and her grandchildren. Mary and I met at Rotary in Etobicoke. We actually had lunch for 3 years together. at the old mill. Mary always invited me to go to a yoga class with her. Mary always reached out. She always went above and beyond whenever she saw me because I was a new person to that Rotary Club. And Mary has since continued to reach out and to be a supportive friend. Dr. Mary Grogan, welcome to the Gratitude Girls.
Thank you. Happy to be here tonight.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit, Mary, about you don't do something little. You do it big.
Oh, really?
Tell us how do you do that?
You know, I do it because I do have a sense of gratitude every day, and particularly during the COVID, even more so. I wake up every morning and it's the first thought: I am healthy, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm grateful. And I think when you have a deep joy of gratitude, if that's part of you, it's not put on. It's really, if you could call it an armor, but really it's like a river running through a good energy. And frankly, I meet a lot of people at this time. There's a lot of fear, and it's reminded me how really blessed I am to have that attitude. It's a mindset, but it's also a heart set. So
Mm.
I think gratitude's a great name for this set. And I've always had a great sense of gratitude. Maybe my early life, I started off life in an orphanage actually in Toronto, and for 6 months I was in a crib. And when I got out into a foster home, my brothers tell me that they rolled me around on the floor, and I had such a good time sitting up that I think I've just been grateful every day that I had a place that was stable, and many things weren't easy or right, but I've always had this deep sense of gratitude and an awareness that we all have a light and that we belong to each other. So maybe that surpasses my sense of um, it really is. I have a very strong belief that we are connected to each other, regardless
Mar-
of background or experience.
yes, thank you. And when you talk about education, I know it's a big passion of yours. Can you speak a little bit to our audience and tell us a little bit about how you decided to continue with your education and become Dr. Mary Grogan?
Mm.
How you did that? How was it while you were persevering through those days and those nights of getting those degrees?
You know, I can't imagine. I think when you have a hunger and a passion, it's not work, even though I know it was work. I can't say that I was the best cook or that my house was always clean, but I started teaching when I was 18 years old, and I lied about my age to start in Toronto. I told them I was 21. And in those days, they didn't have a computer and they never checked your social insurance. But I was ahead of myself in school. And probably they stereotyped me to be in a primary grade. And I said I wouldn't go, that I really wanted to go and teach intermediate. I love intermediate kids because they can be rude and they can be delightful and curious and rebellious. And I just love it. So when I started teaching, I had just turned 19 when I started, and I had $100 in the bank. I paid 50 for rent and 50 on down payment on my degree for my BA. So I thought, I don't know enough. If people find out I don't know enough, I'm in trouble. So to every year I've taken a course. And when I retired from a principal in Toronto, and I was in the med school, I was there a few months thinking this is going to be a 2 year sabbatical with no evening parent council meetings, honest, doing other things, meeting people I've never met, spending time at the beach, just renewing and figuring out what's next. And I wasn't there a few months, and the psychiatrist asked me to teach behavior science part time. And we had a few conversations, and I wasn't doing that for too long. And I started to ask, how can we be sure that the doctors are learning the patient centered care, the empathy? How do I know that that's happening? Because when you teach behavior science, it's history taking. And so, as a result of some of those conversations, some people called me a radical Canadian, a radical, a radical Canadian who believes in radical healthcare. And because of that, I think partly as I said, you know what, this is my chance. I'm going to extend my contract and I'm going to finish my doctorate because I didn't have my children. I was alone. And it was a fabulous opportunity to, it gets dark at 6:30, and it was a great opportunity to spend my evenings studying. So I thought I might as well make it count. And I always dreamed of having a doctorate. I just never had a chance. Raising kids, I needed to earn. So I've always earned and learned together. So I
And what a
finished my
great,
doctorate.
what a great job you did of doing that, Mary.
It's just part of my life. You know how some
Mm,
people do bike riding twice, or they do something like that. It was, for me, the learning has always been part of my life. So it's
I
not,
know.
it's just
You you
natural for me.
you dig really deep into that. You don't take it lightly. And then you decided to write a book because you had some spare time, right?
Well, spare time may be interesting. I think I think that the book came out of a transition period where I was really uncertain about what to do with this wise old stage. I've retired 2 or 3 times and never settled with retirement because I don't really believe in it. I think there's stages of life we all learn to take our gifts and serve in a different way. That's how I see it. And so I really mulled a lot about what would I do with all the learning. And I'd always use reflection as part of, it's kind of a paradox. I'm an extrovert, but I really have had deep reflective periods almost daily in my life. So I've disciplined myself to give my time thinking about what did I learn today? What is it I need to learn? What can I learn from that? I've always been like that. So as a result, when I started teaching in the med school, I realized a lot of people who have a science background just want the answer because they're very driven to learn in a different way. And I think, you know what? I want to leave something for people to pick up without me and actually go through an inward journey. I want to leave a template for somebody else to go as deep or as broad or as light as they want. And I've since discovered I've had a lot of feedback from people on right down to a mentor of mine who's 83 years old, who introduced me to some interesting people when I was in high school, John Howard Griffin and Viktor Frankl. I'd met him when I was 15 and been inspired by all of these people sharing their wisdom.
Mm.
So it's always stayed with me that you have an obligation as a way of being grateful. It's not enough to feel grateful or to think about it's important that we translate that into some action that shares that gift. So that's was the book was hard to write because I'm much more of a research writer than I am to write. I was the hardest thing to do was write I think.
Mm.
To be honest with you, I ripped it up at least for 6 months. I'd write, rip it up, and say, why did I do this? I should not have made a contract for this. And so it took a while for me to do it. I put it up, put it down, got distracted, said I'm not going to finish it. And I really believe it's a tool.
And Mary, when did your book get published?
Finally, it came at Christmas, this Christmas. So it's a year behind. And people actually have written, friends of mine have called me and said, this could not have been written before COVID. Because at the introduction, I say, the world is spinning on its axis.
Hmm.
Leadership and political issues and polarities are extreme wealth, poverty, our whole systems, our institutions. It's time to step back from all of that paradigm that we've been operating and look inward and start looking at our own capacity instead of depending on other people. So I really believe that too. And that's part of an educator is to spark the light in other people and they can become who they can be.
So you might have been wondering, why is the book not being published, but yet you now know that it was published when it was supposed to be published.
That's a great thing to say to me, Catherine. I'm always apologetic that it took so long, but you've reframed it. It's probably true. It's the book for everybody that's looked at it, and I haven't done enough marketing, but I'm juggling a few projects. That's why. And I've had I had a married couple actually, a woman, a friend of mine, who wrote that it's the first time her and her husband actually talked about how they learned their communication pattern from their family, from one of the reflective questions in the book.
Well, I'm looking forward to picking up my copy. I know I could get a copy, but I am going to.
I've tried twice now to put it in the mail, and every
Don't,
time
don't.
others, so it's okay.
It's okay. I will
I know.
I will get it. I am going to make it there.
It's true.
Yes, I'm really, I mean, I've been waiting to read it, right, as well. Like I've been waiting to get my hands on your book because we've been talking about it. And I feel that I have, sort of this investment in the back end of I can't wait for the book to come out. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so glad that you could be here with us tonight and have the book published.
Thank
Lori,
you.
I know you probably have a question for Mary.
Yes, I do. And I look forward to reading the book too. My husband and I always talk about, I'm always reading. I read about a book a week.
Wow.
And I discuss it with him. So he's not that much of a reader, but we talk about it.
Well, if you email me your address, I will make sure it gets in the mail. I've been very negligent with Catherine. I keep thinking she had it already. We've talked about it so much, But if you do that, I'll send you a copy.
Oh, it's very sweet. Thank you. Well, you'll have to come visit Nashville. Maybe you'll bring me.
Go and take a look at it.
Yes. But so one thing that I always love to ask is, obviously this is the Gratitude Girl show and everyone has, all kinds of things that they could be grateful for in their lives, right? And I'm sure you have so many stories from everything that Catherine's even told me about you, and then the little bit more that I've learned in the last, hour. But think of one story that maybe you would share with our listeners of gratitude that you're grateful for, thankful for, whether it's a person, a thing, an event, anything. Just share one story with us that you would like to share.
I nearly died having my son. And at the time, I didn't have a medical history from the Children's Aid. And as my blood pressure was going down, the doctor started yelling, "What's wrong with you? You didn't give us your history. Your blood pressure is reacting to the anesthetic." And he told me there was a team there, and they told me at Toronto General, we don't expect both of you to make it. And I'm sort of grateful for my own honesty. And I said, it better be me. I better get up. And to this day, I laugh when I think I am so grateful for my life. That doesn't sound very right to say that, but I never thought, when the crunch came, I better live because I'm not finished. So I was very grateful when they told me one of us wouldn't wake up. And when I had my son, who's called Adam, I have never, ever felt ownership for that child. Like, he is my child, but I've always had a sense of liberation with him. Like, he really is a gift to me. My daughter as well. That's another story. So I have to say that no matter what I accomplish, to really create another child, another person, and to rear them, and to have that privilege when I lived in a home that had a lot of kids back, has been the greatest reason for me to be grateful. I really am grateful. I hope it's helped me let go of them, if you know what I mean. And it's been an easy journey to help them to be adult friends with them rather than their mother. If you know what I don't know if that even makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
I didn't have an easy time to be mothered. So for me to consciously and intentionally do all sorts of things, watch people and learn what that meant, it's been an incredible gratitude for me that I've been blessed to have kids.
Well, Mary,
make it.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you for sharing that and your honesty. It makes me smile because I'm thinking, I could just imagine what was going on in your head. I have sort of a fun question for you. The question is, if I would, I could. How would you answer that?
If I could hire somebody that was a great pilot, safe, I would go around the world and absolutely meet people on a beach everywhere I could and find out about their life, who they are, what's happening, eat a different meal, find out what they're reading, go to a dance on the beach, all around the world. I've been to many beaches in the Caribbean, of course, and they have the best parties in the whole world.
Thank you. So, Lori, let me rephrase it. If I could, I would, as opposed to if I would, I could. If I could, I would. Could you think about that before we pass the show over to Mary? If I could, I would. Anything that you'd like to share?
Well, Mary's answer was really great. I would love to do that too.
Mhm.
So yeah. Let's see. What else? Well, I started doing this year, and so it is I would still say that it would apply to that statement, but it is something I am planning on doing, is learning more. I just started learning how to garden this last year, grew my first things that I've ever grown before. And even though we planted several things here at this home, then now we are going back to the other home and remodeling that. But I'm going to build that garden there, and it's going to be like my little own Garden of Eden with all kinds of edible fruits, trees, and plants, and nuts, and different things like that. I've been doing a lot of research over the last year, and so yeah, so just learning everything I can that we can eat the most organic and raw and fresh and healthy and from our own hands.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Thank you. Lori, now's a good time for us to pass the show over to Mary, right? So, Mary, we have a part of our show where we like to pass that over to you, give you the Gratitude Girls show. So you're holding the baton, holding the torch, so to speak. We drop the mic, we give it to you. And if you would like to ask Lori and I, or Lori or I, a question, please do.
Okay. What I'm curious about is if you had a magic wand and you had any power in the world, what's one change you would bring to your own community or the planet?
Who are you asking first?
Okay, Lori. I'm looking right at Lori. So, Lori, I'd be interested to know.
One power I think to bring to my community, it would be that everybody treats each other with kindness. That there's no harsh words, no harsh actions. Everybody helps everybody. Everybody loves everybody, and everybody is just filled with kindness.
Beautiful. That's a great thing. We should get you a wand in your community. So, Catherine, how about you? If you had a magic wand, what would you do with that to make a change in your community or in the planet?
Okay, well, I'll talk about my community because I'm new to this community here. And I would definitely want everyone to be more inclusive. Not that they're not, but inclusive, meaning we live on a farm, and there's big space between people here. So you're sort of in your own beautiful world. And in the summer, things are different, but it would be nice to have that deep sense of community where you really get to know your neighbors and you get to understand the kind of people they are, not just when their car leaves the driveway or when they come home at night. We're very lucky because we do have that with one amazing neighbor. And we understand that. And because we have it with one neighbor,
Mhm.
it feels like it's so right. It would be nice to have that with
Mhm.
all the neighbors. So it's not that we're missing and don't know. We
Mhm.
do have that, but we just would like to have more of it.
Right.
And the reason that I'm saying that is today, funny you should ask this question. because we text people now, we don't talk to them anymore. I was texting a friend of mine, and she said, my mom lives at 720, which is like down the road. And I had been to her mom's house many years ago, and I thought, we know each other for 7 years. We moved back here 7 months ago, and her mom probably lives 3 minutes from me. And why is that I don't know that? Why do I not know the neighbor down the road who is someone that I know and I've been in her home? So it feels to me like the thread is not really strong enough. And
I
I
wonder
would
what
love,
would happen though if it wasn't COVID. That
yes,
there's a
you
lot
have
of
right,
false
you have
limitations.
a
That
very good point, because down the road are the farmers, and in the summer we all
right,
go to the farmers market.
exactly.
Although be it in a line with masks.
Sure.
And so they're the Wednesday Niagara on the Lake food truck where we would meet all the neighbors
Right.
if they went, depends if they go or not, that is not taking place. So there, those community things are not happening. So whereby we wouldn't all go perhaps to the same house of worship, how do we see one another? With COVID or without COVID, even without COVID, how would we have that sense
Mhm.
of community? So I really feel that when you're in a farm country setting, you come to be in the country, but yet you still crave human contact,
Sure.
right? I mean, we're not here with animals. We're on a farm with wine with vineyards and apricots and plums, and the people are nice. And I'm not saying anything about that, but it would be really nice to come together, like
Mhm.
super. Thank you for that question, Mary. That's an awesome question.
I guess the question is, when this is over, you could still use your magic wand.
Oh,
And
yes.
all the way to bring some people together, because I think we're all hungry for it. I don't think it's unusual. You could be in a condo and I may see one or two people.
Right.
So it's
Yes,
still
you're
messy here. You know,
mm,
nobody comes together in a communal room and has a drink of wine together. I mean, there's nothing.
mm.
So it's
We did that though, right before COVID. Like
yeah,
we experienced it, so we're experiencing the loss of it.
I think
And no matter how much we say we're adapting, it's a loss nonetheless. It's missing. So however we adapt, but it doesn't exist. And that human contact is something that we are creatures, we are beings that require that.
exactly.
So how would
And
that?
probably when it's over, there'll be such a deep, intense awareness of gratitude when you think
Mm,
about it. It's like the cup that's empty. Unless it's empty, we can't really experience what it means to be full. So
imagine the first dinner that we make for our house guests, how we're going to pay attention to them. We're going to stare at them and listen to every word that they say. We're going to find out exactly what they want to eat. We're going to make it for them because we're going to have been so hungry for that human contact. We're not going to just make a menu. We're going to say, what do you like? Let me make it for you. We've become such good cooks. We've been becoming like amazing at preparing and cooking food, and I can make that. And during this whole COVID, we decided that we're going to take our nutrition into our own hands as we do. And Mary, just having this conversation with you, because we could have done this at any time, right? Like we could have picked up the phone and said, let's Zoom. And having you on the show tonight means so much to both of us because of your experience and your heart and how you feel about gratitude, and the
mhm,
fact that we had lunch together every week for 3 years is amazing. I don't know that I can say that about too many people.
right. Well, that was the beauty of the club, wasn't it? I mean, people did come together, and I don't belong to the club now. I've taken a break from the club just because it's
Yes,
another
I
rhythm.
know. I'm a Rotarian still, and I'm in my club here in St. Catharines. But regardless of what we do, we are of service, and I know that you are of service to
Right,
your community.
right.
And I'm
Yes, doing a
so
few other
grateful,
things. Mm.
that we met like that, and we get to meet like this.
And we could come back to it. I can come back to it too. It's just that I have a few other projects that
Mhm.
I'm working on, service initiative.
And I want to thank you publicly for what you've done for me personally, and that is inviting me to be a speaker, to be
Oh,
an
yes,
educator. That was so much fun because you never know when you meet someone, right, Lori? Lori and I meet and we develop a show. And Mary, you and I meet and we end up doing other things together. And
right,
it's fun because we reach out
great.
to one another.
We don't go shopping together and we don't do lunch together anymore, but I
I know.
still think of you. Catherine came to as a guest speaker to my entrepreneur class, and then I do reflective papers after the speakers. And some of the things the students said about Catherine are what she's demonstrating. Like they really picked up a lot of your tips about how to network and to be open to people and all the things that you demonstrate in your show with the Lori, that open-mindedness, open-hearted. It did inspire a few other students to translate that into their business plan.
Oh, thank you. That is a huge compliment of the highest level. Thank you so much. It's the
Yeah.
things that we never really
It
know
was so
about.
great. I'm going to ask you again if there's enough students and they ask me back in the spring, I'll invite you back. Um it's been very well right now. 90% of the students are in their own country. So unfortunately, they have to do it in the middle of the night. So I have China and Thailand, Vietnam, Japan. I have 4 from Nigeria, a couple from Turkey, some from Colombia, but they're in the middle of the night. So when it's 12 noon here, it's
Mm,
12 midnight there. So they go till 3 in the morning. So it tells you where education needs to change.
right,
It's because of guest speakers, they need to have the questions and they need to
right,
participate.
right,
So
right.
it's
It would
really,
be my pleasure, Mary. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're welcome. You're on my list for the next. I can't keep asking the same people, or they'll want to have a paycheck, you know? No, it's great. It's,
No, Mary, you could ask me, of
I
course.
would,
It's
I
my
would,
pleasure, and I
I
would
would.
deliver
The
different
students loved it.
content. Well,
The students loved it, the variety of people.
that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that opportunity and the continued opportunity to grow our friendship and for you to show our guests a little bit about you,
Oh,
a little
thank
bit
you.
more about you, and the opportunity for your book to be purchased and for knowing the backstory, for us to know that you ripped the book up many times and that you weren't going to
Oh,
continue and
I've
you
never
did.
been like that before with anything. It's a very vulnerable thing to write a book. I didn't realize how, and that here it's not a book about my life. It's a book, it's more of a template to be used. It's a framework. But there are times where you have to say, I think this or I did this as an example. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure this is going to impress anybody. It doesn't seem. So I found it very hard. It's a good humbling thing to take ownership over your light, really.
Mm, mm. Well, you've done an excellent job at it, Mary, and I look forward to, as you do continue to market the book, let us know and we will read it and we will write your reviews and do all the
Oh,
things
thank
that are
you.
required for that.
Thank
So
you. Thank
we'd
you.
like to
Well,
get
it's
our,
available through my email or marygrogan.com. People can
awesome.
contact me through the contact information. It's great.
Okay. Yes, and we're going to post all of
Well,
that. That's in our show notes and yes, we'll put
this
that up
is a
for everyone to
a
see.
wonderful opportunity. I've now met the Gratitude Girl team, and the fact that you've been doing it this long really provides a space for people to come together with a gratitude in their heart and mind. It's quite amazing.
Oh,
I
thank you. Thank you, Mary.
what a unique,
We
yes.
didn't know that what exactly would happen, but we knew that we were going to do something together.
But
And
what initiative makes people leave guaranteeing that there's going to be some sense of gratitude at the end? I mean,
mm,
that's a change maker.
thank you. Thank you for saying that. We appreciate that. And Mary, this leads us to the next part of our show. And Lori, maybe you can help with this. So someone's watching our show tonight and they're inspired by Mary's talk and Mary's experience. And they say, I want to be on the Gratitude Girls show, or I want to share my story. I want to write a book. I want to talk about the book I didn't write yet, or I want to share what happened to me yesterday and I want the world to hear about it. how does someone become a guest on the Gratitude Girl Show?
Yes, absolutely. So go and find us on Facebook. So facebook.com/gratitude girls. Go ahead and like that page, click add to your interests and see first, and then click send a message right there. When you do that, it comes to Catherine and I both at the same time. Tell us your gratitude story. Tell us what you would love to share with the world. Also, make sure to leave us your contact information of how us to get back with you. So that way we can contact you and get with our schedule and see when we can get you as a featured guest on our show. We are already booking towards the end of 2021. So we get it filled up very quickly. So make sure you contact us. Always go to gratitudegirls.com, do a search in there, look at all the different posts. We've been doing these for 8 years now, every single month. So we've got lots and lots and lots of content, lots of gratitude from past guests, wonderful guests that we get to share with everybody as well.
It's amazing, Lori, how each time we come onto the show, I'm so looking forward to it all month. And then it goes by so quickly. It's like, wait a minute. What happened? Where did that time go? So for us, it's 9:30 Eastern, or now it's 10:15 Eastern. I would do this at 2:00 in the morning. We're so passionate about that. And I don't know if our guests would all want to do that. Depends on what time zone they're on. I know it's a little bit earlier for you, but each and every month that we come, there are very selfish reasons that I do this show. I get such satisfaction out of listening to someone sharing their gratitude. I mean, maybe that didn't come out right. I know this is, but hearing Mary, hearing your story and hearing what it does for you to be able to share that, it makes me feel like I'm in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. And that is food for our soul. So thank you so much for feeding my soul tonight and our soul and to our audience. It really means so much to me. And you're a game changer as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to meet you, Lori, and to be with you again, Catherine, in a great space where we're just getting together and sharing ideas. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're
Great
welcome.
energy. A
Thank
great
you.
energy of gratitude.
Hang out with us a few minutes while we wrap up the show. Thanks so much, Mary. And thank you to
Okay.
our audience for being here. We appreciate you sharing your comments and making your recommendations and tuning in with us. So from our heart to yours, thank you. And Lori, thank you for being an amazing co-host and friend.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you. See you next month.
Thank
Night.
you.